Welcome back to the Road to a Million podcast. Unless you've been living under a rock, you've probably heard of the brand Adam's Polishes. Well, today's guest is the founder and now owner of Enzo's Hand Wash and Detail Center out of Boise, Idaho, Mr. Adam Pitale. Today, we're going to be spending most of our time talking about Enzo's, which is Adam's latest business venture, although he will talk a little bit about his past starting Adam's Polishes and some of the lessons he's learned from them. I hope you guys enjoy. I know I sure did. And huge thanks to Adam for coming on and just being so generous with his time. It's always such a refreshing feeling to see guys like Adam that are as wise as he is, just being so kind to someone like me, being willing to talk and just share his knowledge. So make sure to go thank Adam, guys, for coming on. Don't forget, you guys can use the timestamps in the description to skip ahead. And without further ado, let's get right into it. All right, today I'm with Adam Pitale. Adam, thanks for joining me on the podcast, man.
Thanks for having me. It's an honor.
Well, I'm excited to talk with you today. And I was going to ask you, one of my first questions was, where did the name Enzo's come from? But you just answered that when you told me that it's your middle or your youngest's name.
It's a good car name, you know. It's a good car guy name. And it just so happens that our youngest, who's 12 now, Enzo, is our total car maniac kid. You know, he doesn't play any sports. He only races go-karts. You know, he collects and builds Lego cars. He has all these die casts. He's just a full car freak. And I think that the name fit before he even came out. He was already set up to be a car dude.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is good.
Well, dude, there's so many things that we could talk about today. There's so many directions that we could go, but I think what I'm most interested to talk about is Enzo's Hand Wash and Detail Center that you guys have built, and that I think it's really super unique for the industry. You don't see a whole lot of these. In fact, I feel like you're seeing people going away from the full service car wash. Like Mr. Car Wash, I know they've been going away from doing the full service. I'd imagine that it's extremely hard, and we could talk about that here in a minute. But can you give me like the quick rundown on how Enzo's Hand Wash and Detail came to be and why?
Yeah. So Josh, we ended up, I got out of my full-time role at Adam's Polishes 5 years ago. So we actually I was traveling a ton. I was gone a lot. So didn't get a chance to go to my kids' games, you know, all the school events and things. I was gone. So I decided, okay, before I was 50, I wanted to see if I could have somewhat of an exit from Adam so that I didn't have to be gone quite so much. And then we went through a full process. We ended up finding a new partner, and my role went from a lot of stuff down to, you know, the face of the company, do videos, go to the events, and help make sure that we have an excellent product line. I was successfully sort of retired for about 4 years, and then recognized that I wasn't showing a very good role model to my 17-year-old, you know, now 17, now 15, and now 12-year-old kids of like work, right? You got to go to work. You got to go earn a living. And that's critical to show that, you know, get up and get after it and overcome obstacles and deal with, you know, all the heartaches, which are, you know, running a business. So Enzo's was, you know, the idea was to create something that we could help kids with. So we're involved in foster care and foster parenting. You know, we have foster babies, and we've been financing a couple of foster care organizations, been supporting financially, I should say. And we wanted to actually do something with our hands to like actually help people, not just, you know, sort of send checks. So that's when we decided, okay, let's do something. This little car wash became available down the street from where we live. And I was like, wouldn't that be interesting if we created something that I've always wanted, which would be a fantastic, super high-end hand car wash that'll do some detailing. I'd like to have a little coffee while I'm waiting. I want a cool place to chill out and relax and enjoy the hour or however long it's going to take to get it done. And I figured we could probably help some kids along the way. And that's kind of how Enzo's got started, was a dream of trying to make a place that kids who would probably have a tough time getting hired elsewhere could come and get work. You know, when they would get for sure immediately fired at any other place, maybe they'd have a little bit more, cushion with us, that we could probably be a little bit more calm, kind, and accepting, and then try to make them so that, hey, now not showing up for work's not okay. Make sure you don't do that again, but we're going to give you another shot, come on in. So we started taking these kids in who are basically aging out of the foster care system. And kids that age out of the foster care system have some statistics that are really dark. Like the girls end up pregnant within the first 17 to 20 months.
Wow.
There's drug use, 80%, homelessness, 60%. There's these dark stats on kids aging out of the foster care system. They've been in foster care most of their life, and now it's time for them to move on. They were not adopted by someone. They don't have a dad or a mom to help them walk straight. So we said, let's get a business going that we can help these kids find a path forward, get a little bit of financial literacy, get a little bit of work ethic. And that's kind of why Enzo's was started, was, show my kids some work ethic and then help some kids who could probably really use, an extra hand.
Yeah, man, that's so cool. It was it was still a passion and a vision that you had, but it was all backed by doing it for your kids and for the foster kids. It's how cool is that?
And I can sit here and go, oh yeah, I'm just really an awesome guy. I'm just this really big-hearted guy, but everything, I'm just a believer. God's got his hands in every single thing that happens. Period. Whether you know it or believe it or not, he does. God's got his hands on everything. So these directions, these little offshoots, one this way, one that way, each one of those was, God opening a door here and slamming a door over there, and it's sometimes you get a door slammed in your face. You're like, dang it, that stinks. I wish that hadn't happened just now. I really expected that door to get propped open, but no, that door just slammed right there. Perfect. But there's a plan, and you don't see it until you're around the corner and down the road a little bit, typically. And how this plan came together was not how we initially thought it was going to come together. We really thought it'd be different than it is, but
Was that true at Adam's Polishes as well? Was it? I mean, did you ever expect it to go the way that it did?
Oh no, of course, yeah, not. No, because you don't. I mean, I don't think there's any way to be a future teller, right? You can't say this is how life's going to end up. And with Adam's Polishes, I mean, I started as a little kid, washing neighborhood cars. In high school, started getting into limousine fleets, and that was a big thing in the 80s. And then after, through college, detailed cars all the time, just to feed myself, right? It wasn't oh, I'm building this business. This was gaining shoes, gaining underwear, buying a burger. So it was definitely not some big master plan. It was just sustenance, just keeping the lights on. And then after college, getting into fleets, detailing fleets for Coca-Cola. We started detailing for Coke. Basically, all their red trucks turned pink. And this guy came up to me. It was like, hey, I need a detailer to help us buff all the pink off these trucks and turn them back to red again, and I'd have to repaint them. And I said, I think I might be your guy. And we started developing chemicals for doing trucks faster, and doing trucks at night, and doing trucks in the daytime, and just buffing all the pink, the oxidized paint off these trucks. There's no way I would have ever seen in a trillion years that that's how things would have gone, right? That was just a total accident how that worked. And you're going to hear some heavy breathing because I got a dog sitting right here. So anyway, um, so yeah, it was just, again, directionally, it ended up being directionally perfect because it was God's plan. God's plan's perfect, but it was definitely not what I thought,
Yeah. I think it's
coming up with
important. I think
yeah.
it's important what you're saying though, because I've fallen into this trap, and I'd say a lot of the guys that I've interviewed on the podcast, you can get the sense with some of them too that, especially being younger, we want to control everything, and you want to have the vision planned out. And it's unfortunate that there's a lot of influencers, people on social media that I think that they think that that's what you should do, like as if you can be the prophet that sees the future. And
Mm-hmm.
to some extent, vision is a virtue, right? um, but you, you never are really going to be able to know what that plan looks like. And oftentimes I think, as you say, God's plan ends up being so much different from what we have in mind. And there's some amount of uh, vision that is good, and having some goals and a plan, but there's also some amount of, you have to let things unwind naturally, and you have to be open to these
Mm-hmm.
things. I don't know if you feel like that at all, or if you can speak to that.
Oh, it's totally true. I mean, opportunity is going to knock at different times in different ways, and if you're not paying attention, opportunity might just knock, and that's when you're taking a break or you're not listening. Opportunity comes in ways that you don't know it was opportunity until you seized it, until you went after it, and you said, okay, wait, uh, detailing Coke trucks, like I don't think that that's in my future. Detailing any trucks, and I never would have thought that was going to be, and it wasn't sexy at all. I mean,
Yeah.
Coke trucks. So you load a truck full of Coke and you walk in and out of the back of your trailer all day. I mean, there's always spilt Coke because there's inevitably one of the pallet jacks punctures, some Coke, and there's just syrup. So we used to pressure wash the inside of the trucks out because there was so much syrup in them from the drivers getting in and out. And we had to do these trucks from 4 p.m. until 4 a.m. The only time they're stopped was at the middle of the night. Well, the reality is that that was not what opportunity knocking would have sounded like if you would have asked me a day before that happened. I would never have thought that that was a good idea. I mean, that's not. I mean, it's not. People like to detail nice cars, right? People like to detail cars that are Lamborghinis and Ferraris and Mercedes and super nice cars. This is the opposite. These are rough, horrible, beat up trash trucks. Some of them have 700, 800,000 miles on them. And there's nothing sexy about it except for it paid us. And getting guys that wanted to work all night, finding guys. That was not the easy path. And the easy path is rarely the path that really leads you to the tree of fruit. The fruit bearing tree, usually you have to walk through some crap to get to it. You got to hike a mountain to get to it. You got to cross a deep river to get to it. The easy money's been made. You got to try a little bit harder now. These days, a lot of smart people out there making money. But there's a lot of work that'll get you to success. And the people that are not afraid to cross that river, to climb that mountain, to do that hard work. Today, I feel like there's less people today that are fired up and ready to do it. The work that it takes to make it happen. There's a lot of people today that don't have the work ethic. And as a result, I think it's easier today for go-getters to go get it, to get after it, to succeed. Because there's like a much bigger majority of people are lazy, they live in their phones, or not ready to get, to go to work. So I think that if there was ever a time to get after it and build something amazing, you just have to build it using as few employees as possible, because the workforce since COVID, I think, has been damaged. It's not as available. You don't have really hard workers today the way you did, a few years back.
Yeah. Well, and I know in a business like Enzo's, like a hand wash and detail center, like you have to have employees. Like that's the biggest line
Yeah,
item on your profit and loss statement on your expenses, right? Is
so
probably
true.
your payroll. So, um, I don't know. I mean, I've seen some videos and photos of Enzo's on your social media and on your website, and it looks like you guys
Mhm.
have a pretty big team. I'm sure that it requires a lot to be able to run the shop. And obviously, you want to train all those guys so that you're delivering high quality results and in a timely manner. Um, how have you managed hiring and training and just keeping that quality up at Enzo's?
That's a good question. I'll tell you what, it's been extremely difficult, Josh. It's been very, very difficult. This has been the most humbling business season of my life. Been very humbled. When we first started, we had about 40 people on the staff, and we had a bunch of kids. We had people that were, some of the kids that were getting ready to age out of the foster care system. We had them on the payroll. But we have had in the last, so we've been open now. I started a mobile van. I don't know if you saw that in social media or not, but we have a nice van that's all tricked out. It's a Ford Transit van, all-wheel drive, that's set up to go, year-round in our area, detail, so you can, drive in the snow and get to someone's house and do it. So we've been in business with the van for a little over a year, and we've been in business at the car wash for about 5 months. I think that we just hit 100 employees that we've hired. So we went from 40. We went and we've had 100 names on our payroll. 100 names, not 100 people on the payroll today, but we've had so many people just as soon as it gets really hot, tap out. I'm out. I can't do this. This is not. Oh, this is work. This is hard work. This is like labor. Like, yes, it is. And once you're skilled in a trade, or you're skilled and you have a degree or something like that, then you can choose a different career. But right now, what you have the ability to do is give us your time and labor, and we'll pay you for your time and your labor. So we're down now to right around 20 employees. So we had overstaffed initially, knowing that we were going to have attrition, pretty significant attrition. So we had people just not show up for work. We had people, walk out halfway through the day. Hey, this is hard. This is really hard work. Yes, this is hard work. And what we found is that I understand very well why all of the car washes in the country, 99.99999% of them, are automated washes. I get it. It's because employing manual laborers who can be trained to see dirt and to polish glass well, and to remove little bits of extra water from the door jambs, or a little bit of crumbs from the drink holders, things like that, right? It's extremely hard to find people that you can pay to see dirt and to be passionate about cleaning things and detailing things. Like when you're a detailer, you're a passionate detailer. You're typically a person who sees dirt, gets after it, eliminates it, and then makes that whatever finish. If it's a drink holder or a chrome wheel or a windshield wiper or whatever, you make it right, and then you finish it off. That is what I've found to be the single hardest thing about running this business, is trying to find a normal person out there in the world who sees like that. Very few people see like that. They don't just see dirt. They're not passionate about fixing little scuff marks. We keep a little 3.5-inch polisher. It's actually a flex polisher. We keep it right next to the finishing lanes at the car wash, because there's almost always a white car that a black car open the door into them, right, and put a little mark on it, or just some little scuff mark or something, and we can buff it out and just make it perfect.
Yeah.
Well, like training people to see that and grab the polisher and do that, it's proved to be so hard. It's really hard to get people to see a problem and get after it. To see like, hey, there's a little scuff on the instrument cluster, like you're looking at, the miles per hour and stuff. Like I could polish that out with one of our little polishers, a little 1-inch swirl killer polisher. I can go buff a little scratch mark out. And then every time I'm looking at the speedometer and the numbers, 6.3, I'm going 63 miles an hour. It's not blurred. It's nice. Like all it takes me is just 2 seconds to polish that out. Well, teaching people to see that has proven to be quite challenging.
So what do you think you do about that? Do you have any ideas?
Well, what we started doing is we had a lot of kids and a lot of people working at the car wash who are making 16 to 18 bucks an hour. And that is apparently too little to get a person who's really good. So we started, now we're at 20 to 25 bucks an hour, and now we're paying detailers. One of the things that's interesting, we hired in the last 3 weeks, we hired 5 detailers, people that have been in the detailing industry for a number of years, that their life has changed. And almost all of them, the single biggest life change has been they had kids. And once you have kids, you need health insurance. You need consistency of revenue. You really need to make sure that you have the money coming in to fill that refrigerator. You've got a family depending on you. And I think why we were able to hire these detailers was because we found them at the perfect point in their life where they needed consistency, they needed consistent pay, and they needed health insurance for their babies. So we were able to get these guys in, and as with every one detailer that we hired, we were able to literally let go of 2 or 3 of our, zero experienced staff, like people that had never washed a car before, because they just see the dirt. They know where to go to get it. They know which towel to grab. They know which chemical to grab. They know how to go and resolve the problem. So it really worked out to be a good idea. And it's funny because we always try to teach people, like we have Adam's Polishes. We do a thing called the Shine Academy. The Shine Academy is a detailing school. We train people to be in their own business, and people leave their job, they get into their own business, and they're in their own business for a while. And if you're in the wrong zip code, or you just, not everyone is born to be a total entrepreneur. People can be detailers, but being an entrepreneur means you're willing to risk. You're willing to do without. You're willing to not take a paycheck. You're willing to have no health insurance. And I think that as an entrepreneur, that level of risk is easier when you're younger, right? You don't have a family to feed. You don't have a house payment to make, But as soon as you get into that life situation where you need to be paying the rent, you need to be making sure there's food in that fridge, you have kids depending on you, suddenly your priorities totally shift, and you need to start really thinking hard on what you're doing with your time to make the money that you need to make to live the lifestyle you want to live. And while detailing can be great, we definitely have some guys that work for us that, they ended up in debt, and debt is a killer to your business. If you have debt service, try to get out of it. I'll tell you right now, almost all the guys that work for us that came over from working for themselves ended up in trouble with debt.
Have you ever been in debt before with your business?
Oh yeah. Oh gosh, yes. It was a crusher. I was in a debt. We used to be selling product faster than we could get it in, like towels. microfiber towels. We bring them in from South Korea. And I would only bring in a few pallets at a time because I could only afford to buy a few pallets at a time. So what did that do to the shipping costs? It like 10x'd them, put like a $3 per towel penalty of shipping on each towel. You buy them by the container, 12 cents a towel. Having money is a very good way to make money. But when you don't have money, you don't have money. But I learned how to do whatever I could to make ends meet without going and getting loans. Not getting loans on trucks, not getting loans on equipment. I had rent because I didn't own a building, of course. I had to rent a little warehouse. But I'm just, if anything is taken away today, there's a couple of things. One, God's plan's the plan. And secondly, I'll tell you, debt is a real stinker because as soon as anything happens bad, like let's just say in your market as a detailer, let's say you end up with a bad weather spell and you can't detail for 2-3 weeks because the weather's just crazy. And that happens. It happened to us a ton. Well, guess what? The rent is still due. The loan payment is still due. Your truck payment or your van payment is still due. So that's the stinker, right? Then you end up in trouble. And you end up having to, do things that you would rather not do because you've got this burden, this debt burden, sitting there, harming your ability to make choices. You can't like today, I'm going to go skiing. I'm going to take this awesome snowy day. I'm going to go skiing. Instead, you're sitting there stressing, oh my gosh, I have a truck payment due, or I have a van payment due, or I took a loan on something else. That stress is, it's bad for life. You don't want that stress in.
So did you take did you take debt to pay like for some of your inventory back in the day with Adams, like expecting to sell stuff, and then did something did you not, were you not able to sell it as much as you thought?
I did. I took hard money loans. I wasn't very bankable. I didn't have credit. People didn't look at me and be like, oh, this guy's got credit. I wasn't like this, I was not successful. I mean, I had a business, but if I ever had money, I'd buy inventory. I didn't like go buy, spec houses and like do all this stuff. I took hard money loans. It was a 25% interest.
Oh my gosh.
25%. Dude, it was such a crusher. 25%. These guys would take money. I worked it out through my my merchant processor, so through your credit card sales. So they would take money until they got paid back. They would take it directly. They would divert it right from a merchant account to them until they were paid off, plus 20% or 25%. So I borrowed $100,000 3 or 4 times. And that was so I could buy enough towels, because even the 20 grand, and it wasn't 20% APR.
Oh my gosh.
It was 20%. You pay it back tomorrow, it's 120 grand. You borrow 100, it wasn't a year, 20% right then. So it was a major cost, but I looked at what the cost was of shipping a single towel here from overseas. And then I looked at what the cost of shipping polishers. So when I started making our Swirl Killer polishers, you can't buy a few. You got to pretty much bring them in as a container load.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I didn't have the free cash sitting there. So I looked at the cost of the money, the 25 grand versus the cost of being able to sell them and make, $100,000 or $200,000 on all those polishers. And I made the decision to go ahead and do it. But I look back and I was like, oh, it was like a chokehold. Having that debt was a bummer, because then I needed money for payroll. I needed money to go do other things. But instead of me getting the money from our revenues, all that money is being cycled straight out of our merchant account, straight over to the people that we borrowed that hard money from.
So looking back, would you just recommend, like, is there ever an appropriate time to take debt, or would you have changed what you did?
So I'm personally not really big on debt, and people use debt and they become extremely successful. There are people that are way smarter than me that know how to use other people's money to make money. Guarantee you, someone that's watching this right now has used someone else's money. They made a ton of money and it went very well. I mean, there's some home builders here in town that are building, we live outside of Boise in Eagle, Idaho. This is a fast growing area. People are like leaving California like crazy and they're coming here. Seattle's coming here. So there's these home builders that are building major tract houses here. And they don't have all the cash to buy this dirt and to build all these houses and then sell them. So they are doing great and they are buying dirt and then they are getting loans to start construction on the streets, on the utilities, on everything, getting it all done. And then they start selling the houses and they get all their money back plus a chunk. It's called leverage. And leverage is something that people can be really good at. And if you're extremely smart financially, using leverage to your benefit, great. Very few people, however, I will say, especially that I've come to know in the detailing business, have been really wise with leveraging debt and leveraging their business and their houses. Usually it's tough. You have a seasonal business sometimes and you can end up in trouble. So yes, there's a time for debt. If you really are a genius at it, great. I'm not. So every time that I was in debt, it hurt. And I avoid it like crazy now.
I think one of the toughest parts about leverage debt is it can become like a drug. Like it can literally become addicting.
Yeah.
And maybe it goes well for a while, but the chances of, because you don't want to stop once you start realizing you can make money on other people's money, you want to keep borrowing more money. I see that a lot with young real estate investors.
Mm-hmm.
A great example is Dave Ramsey. He had this happen. I don't know if you know his story very well,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
but he had this happen whenever he was in his 20s, and he had a $5 million real estate portfolio. And then when the market slows down and you realize that it's not your home, it's the bank's homes, and whenever they want their payment, and you can't make it, then they take all your assets. And
Yep.
so I think that's the tough part about leverage, is like, if you could use it discipline and you don't overdo it or get greedy. But most people have a hard time doing that because they go, well, if I could buy, one house with someone else's money, then I could buy two. And then if I could do two, I can do four. And they keep going. And that
Yeah.
continues on for years and years until eventually something happens, right? Something in the market, something unforeseen.
Mm-hmm.
You can't anticipate it. And then it's hard to get settled up with that because it's not your money, it's the bank's.
I agree. And Dave would tell you to wait, save up, save up, save up. And then once it's totally comfortable for you to make a purchase, then you do it. If you end up in a situation where the market changes and you got your pants down, right? You were out there and you got some debt out there and all of a sudden you have a market shift. I mean, we probably all both know people that in the 07, 08, 09 big, recession that lost everything. People are like, oh, this is amazing. I'm doing great. I'm going to keep buying houses. I'm renting them out. I'm covering the payments. I'm covering the insurance. It's going great. I'm going to keep buying houses. I know guys now that are doing Turo, Turo, the car rental
Yep.
deal. And they're buying cars like crazy with loans and they're sending them out on Turo and they're doing fine. They're covering their payments. They're putting a lot of miles in the cars, which is depreciating them quite substantially. So when it's time to trade the car in or sell the car, it's definitely going to be a little bit tougher to sell because the car is out there on the road every day, unlike it would have been if it was your daily driver. So, you don't want to get caught, right? You get caught with your, I call it caught with your pants down, and all of a sudden you've got a bunch of debt out there, and the market shifts. It can sting. It can sting for sure, And um, I think Dave Ramsey's onto something.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of older wise guys that have said that. I think Charlie Munger said something similar that uh, when talking about leverage, and it's it's that somewhat arrogance that a lot of young people have, um, just without having the wisdom and the knowledge that allows them to take on more risk. And I think that for every 100 that do, a few of them skate through, and then they
Mm-hmm.
tell their stories, and
Yeah.
that's what kind of keeps the fire going.
Yeah. Well,
But
yeah.
you
Who's
don't see
that
the
guy with the
98.
Lamborghini? How did he get there? And they'll tell you his story, and you're like, he's the 1/3 of 1%, right?
Yeah.
He's,
But the people that have, like, the majority, it's like they did it a little bit more conventional, and it takes more time, and it's not what's sexy. It's not what gets the most views on social media, and it's not the story that's like talked about and everyone's hearing all the time,
mm-hmm.
especially in today's day and era.
You're right. I mean, you see these, the influencers, the people that are out just spending money, spending legitimate amounts of money, right? Their third and fourth car, and they're 22 years old. Like, whoa, they're really going after it. But, um, what, to me, what's really important is sleeping really well. If you can sleep really well at night, knowing that your decisions are both wise and they are not going to put you in financially in a situation of burden, that's going to help you sleep. And for me, that's why we pay, we buy our properties, we pay cash for them. We don't have, real debt on properties, and cars, no debt on cars. Cause again, that's one of the things that you wait, drive a crappy car until you can afford to buy a nicer car, and I always fix up cars and flip them and make a little bit of money. That's been my thing since I was a kid. People always come up to detailers. Hey, I want to get this car detailed. I want to sell it. And you're like, really? What do you got in mind? How much you want for it? And then, well, why bother giving me the $300 for the detail? How about I just buy it for the $6,000 that you're looking for right now? And you go detail it. You untint the windows, take off all the kind of dumb accessories, and make the paint look perfect, the plastic perfect, fix the headlights, buff them out again, and boom, you got yourself a $2,000 or $3,000 worth of profit on that car. But buying and driving a lesser car until you can afford to buy cash the great car, most old timers will tell you that's prudent.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it all goes back to, like, why you're doing what you're doing and why you got into it for the first place. And if you get into what you're doing this is a tough thing, because a lot of people, and I'm sure you can attest to this, get into what they do because they need to make money. They need to make ends meet. That's a large reason why we started our business. But we were also entrepreneurial spirited. We always had been. My brother had a passion for cars. And then I think we've learned along the way that what we actually find fulfillment in the business, what we actually find fulfillment in, is serving our customers and providing solutions to problems that we know other detailers in our area can't fix like we can. And sometimes that's not even by being the best detailer as much as it is just providing honest expectations and good customer service and answering the phone on time and communicating well. Like, I think that we found that that's really what we get our fulfillment from, and then having, like, our team and being able to help them to support their families, like, and so that's kind of rewired our way of thinking, and it's helped me to slow down a little bit. Whereas I think when we started, we really wanted just to get really wealthy really quickly, and then you realize that not only is that silly and ignorant, but it's dangerous, I think.
You see some kids that end up in a financially kind of a large situation, at a young age, you do see a decent amount of those kids end up in a bit of trouble, crashing the cars, or, end up over financing, even though you're making the money, then you still think debt's a good idea. And because it's kind of like the old man, says, "Hey, take it easy, sonny boy, take it easy. Don't go too nuts, right? Just be conservative and take your time." And the kids are like, "I'm going to go right now. I can't wait. I'm going to go get that Lamborghini. I'm going to go, get a brand new TRX pickup. I'm going to go do whatever. I can afford the payment." You're like, yeah, you can, but all you need is a slight change in the landscape, slight change in the weather, in the political landscape, that could impact the revenues that you're making. And being on the safe side means you're fine. You're not going to have to worry about it. You're going to, no matter what, make your payment because you hardly have any. Helps you really good sleep at night. That's critical.
Well, going back to the whole idea of planning things out and not knowing what God's plan is for you, I feel like it's the humble thing to do, and it's the respectful thing to do for yourself, even to set your life up to where you're going to be open to that plan. And it doesn't mean you're not going to make mistakes along the way, that maybe that was meant to happen to teach you a lesson to some extent, right? But I think that it's important to just be somewhat conservative and what's the word that the financial advisors use? Prudent. With your money and your investments, so that you're able to pivot if you need, and you don't risk everything. So
yeah, I think it's right on. And really, for the young people out there that, like, we got a couple of kids right now that want to go buy, they started making some good money working for us. Excuse me. And they want to go buy new cars right now. And it's like, you got 80 grand in the bank? No, but I can afford the payment. It's like, just because you've had, 5 months of excellent work history and now you're making, 65, 70 grand a year, that does not make 80 grand in the bank. That makes a run rate of 6 or 7 grand a month. That's a different thing. A run rate is not money in the bank.
Yeah.
You can't go to the bank and cash a run rate. A run rate is just money that's been coming in and going out. Keeping money in the bank that's a good feeling.
Yeah. How has business been since you guys started? Have you been surprised by how many people in your area have been receptive for this type of service? Have you felt like was it what you expected, or how has the market received this business of yours?
It has been nothing like what we thought it would be. I thought it would be nice cars coming through, affluent people with nice cars coming through and paying up for a nice service and getting that nice service done at our facility. And it has not been that. There is that, it's 30 to 50% maybe super nice cars, super affluent customers with cars that, have been detailed, they're ceramic coated, they're in nice shape, they wash easy, they dry easy. The other much larger chunk have been cars, because where we live, it's just all, I call them scratch-o-matics, all automated car washes, brushes, damage, the metal wheel guards that you got to put your wheel in to go through. That's always, if you have wide wheels, they scratch your wheels every time. So these cars have been coming through damaged. They need to be detailed, but people don't care. The customer's like, well, just make it better. I'm fine with better. So we charge $100 for a standard car wash, and for a truck or a three-row SUV, we charge $140. $100 and $140 for a wash. but it's pretty thorough wash. We clean the wheels all the way to the back of the barrel, full clean out of the wheel wells. We pull all the floor mats out. We pressure wash them. We scrub them with our mat and liner cleaner. We really make it so that they're extremely clean. All the glass done inside and out. We make sure that all of those things are tackled well, and that the entire vehicle before it leaves is looking really good. Now, you can only do so much until you realize this car needs to be detailed. Like the paint is bumpy, it's rough. They've been doing these, resurfacing these streets, and there's tar on all these cars. There's oxidation, there's tons of oxidized headlights and taillights and paint, and all the plastic on these trucks, like all around the bed caps, the tops of the bumpers, the mirrors, the black plastic is all faded to gray. We have meaningful summers here. These vehicles need to be detailed. They don't just need a wash. But people are okay with the wash. And to me, that's totally mediocre, because we're putting a little bit of lipstick on the pig, right? The problem is we're putting these cars out and we're letting them leave. We're letting them know, hey, your car really needs to be detailed. All these hard water spots, you've been parking your car right next to the sprinklers, apparently, and the whole right side of your car is white. You have a black truck. It's all just water scale from insane amounts of sprinkler damage. Well, what I don't like about this business, and we're getting ready to change it, is people that are just okay with better are coming through. There's not hardly anybody that offers interior cleaning, vacuuming, inside glass done. So they're okay with just better. And better doesn't feed my soul at all. I need excellence. I don't want anything mediocre coming out of our car wash. But you can't give everyone a full detail for $100 or $150. And it's been really challenging for me. That's been the biggest challenge with Enzo's, is that in Idaho, between Boise and Eagle, in the area that we are, there's a lot of farm trucks, a lot of people that just don't care about their cars. This is not a clean car, image conscious zip code. You go to Scottsdale, Arizona, boom, clean car zip code. Dallas, Texas, clean cars. SoCal, where I grew up in Orange County, clean cars. You pull up to a stoplight, chances are you look to the left, you look to the right, there's clean cars on both sides of you. Here, there are not. In Idaho, it's not as big of a deal. A lot of farms, the streets are really dirty. We have this really defunct system called the ACHD, which is like the District of Transportation that manages the roads here. And they use these crazy methods of maintaining roads, putting down tar and rock. So you waste 3 or 4 windshields a year, and there's tar all over your car. It's really been humbling for me, because praise God, we were pretty successful at Adam's Polishes, selling products to people who are already totally enthusiastic about detailing. That's our sweet spot. Selling services to people that could barely care less about their car, they just want it better. That's not fulfilling. And that's something that we need to, really consider. What is our purpose? Are we here to just make cars a little bit better, a tiny bit less mediocre? No, that's not why we got into this business. So it's been, so we're, now we're considering more of a membership model to become a member. Before you have your car wash here, we're going to detail your car. We want to get your car to an excellent condition and then maintain it in that excellent condition. If we just constantly put all the lipstick on your pig every time you drive it through our car wash, we, throw some dressing on your trim, put a little detail spray in the paint, just wipe over all the bumps and all the tar and all the tree sap. Yeah, we can do that, but the cars don't leave with me putting my stamp of approval on them, because they really need to be detailed, not just washed. So that's my struggle right now. Is mediocrity is hard for me. I don't want our business to be in the business of putting out mediocre product.
Man, yeah, that is tough because you're fighting it on two fronts with the employees and then
Mm-hmm.
with the customers.
Yes, it's definitely hard. I totally understand why there's no or hardly any hand washes in the country anymore. It's very hard to get people to see dirt, employees to see dirt, and there's the mobile guys, right? All the mobile guys in the vans. Like we have our mobile van. We're getting ready to put it back on the road right now. There's a lot of competition for the mobile detailers. They'll go out to somebody's house and wash your car and your wife's car for $200. No problem. I think the people, what they don't like is that so many detailers are in business for like 6 months and they go away, or a year and go away. Very easy business to get into, low cost of entry. But if you're not really good at it, really good at communicating with your customer, hey, I'm coming to your house right now. I'll be there in 12 minutes. See you soon. Hey, it's been 9 months since your last detail. We like to detail your car every 10 months. Love to get you back on the calendar. If you don't have that sort of customer interaction, I think it's easy to fail in detailing, and doing a great job. If you do a great job all the time, that's going to keep you in business. But you got to do more than just a great job. You got to do a great job. You got to have great communication with your customer. You got to make sure that you constantly follow up. When you're at their house, did you leave all your bottles laying down in their driveway, or did you have them all standing up? When you went to their house, did you smoke a cigarette while you're halfway through their car? There's all these things that people don't think about, that if you don't do it just right, you're out of business as a detailer. It's a pretty important thing to have a multitude of things go right for your detailing business to be successful.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I cause a lot of some needed, some unneeded stress amongst my guys because I think about every little thing and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
that's not perfect. That's not perfect. But to
Yeah.
some extent, you can't be a total perfectionist. Like we're all sinners. None of us are perfect, but
Amen.
we still could strive to be better, and
Yeah.
so it's just reminding the guys that like, hey, these things do matter, right? And uh, we can we can do better to a certain extent. I mean, there's unreasonable customers out there. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, I think that's really tough for me too, especially when you start having guys that work for you that naturally aren't going to care quite as much as you do.
Yeah. Do you check over how many guys do you have working for you?
Outside of me, it'd be 5 detailers in a window tinter. So
Are they all at a shop, or are they mobile?
all at a shop for the most part. But we do a
Yeah.
few mobile jobs here and there.
And where are you guys located?
Springfield, Missouri.
So you have a real winner.
Yes.
You got a real winner coming up, right?
Yes.
Do you personally check every vehicle before it leaves after it's been done?
Me personally, no.
Yeah. See, I don't either. And inevitably, if I don't, one of the vehicles that I don't check will have crumbs in the drink holder, will have dirt around the lug nut, will have the back window of the pickup not cleaned. You got to put the seats down to get to the back window of the trucks. It's so hard, but you got to do it. I really want my guys to be able to do that, to check the car. I want their initials on the job. I checked this vehicle, signed Clint. I have not found, I have 2 guys now that are doing that are very good. 2 guys out of 100 that we've hired that I trust, that they said it's good, it's probably good. That's a hard thing to do. That's scaling your business. When you don't have to be there to check on every car, that's when you can scale your business, right? Grow it to another area, grow through fleet accounts, grow in any way. It's really hard to let a product leave your shop that's just okay.
Yeah, and naturally, I think as the business owner, you want to try to do everything, and because you know that you'll make it right, but you can't grow your business that way, and you can't sleep well and stay sane and have a family that way.
Yes. You're so right. Now you have kids?
I don't.
Well, that makes your life a little bit easier. I'll tell you what, right there. You can work all night, right? You get busy,
Yep.
you can just go, and back when I first started, I was detailing these trucks all night and it was fine.
But I
No
think
one was just,
ahead. I do think ahead, and I know that that will be something in my future. At least I hope. Um,
Mhm.
but so when you're thinking ahead, it's like, okay, well, we can manage right now, but this obviously there needs to be some change here. There needs to be the guy that does the quality control checks, and that way that everything's getting double checked at the very end, and I trust him, so I know that I can sleep well at night knowing that that's taken care of.
yeah, that's good. Yeah. So you got 5 guys. You guys do all of your work in your shop. Do you guys do PPF and tint?
Not PPF, really. Our window tinter does. He dabbles in PPF,
Film,
but
yeah.
he's not. He's not. I feel like a lot of the guys I've had on the podcast would say that, like, if you do window tinting really well, you're probably not going to be as good at PPF and vice versa.
Hmm.
So I think that Chris is a great window tinter, and I think he does good PPF. But I think he would even agree that that's probably not something that he feels like he's going to be his best at, or ever will want to necessarily be like the best PPF guy. But so
Mhm.
right now it's just tint mostly, and then a little bit of PPF here and there.
Do you offer any other services? Do you guys do like, um, do you do, I don't know, film removal? Um, do you like, do you pull wheels and tires off of cars and clean the barrels and do stuff like that? Do you do anything like that?
And we don't pull off wheels and tires. Um, I'd love to get the setup to make that happen. That's something that we're looking at investing once we have a new shop.
Yeah.
But we do like tint removal and decal removal and badge removal and things like that. Headlight restorations. Obviously, we do all of the detailing services, paint corrections, ceramic
Yeah.
coatings. So
When you do headlight restorations, this is something we had a discussion about today with our team. We bring the worst of the worst cars in to get a headlight restoration done. The cars aren't nice. If the headlights are wasted, chances are the car is also wasted. Very rarely are headlights all fogged over on a nice car, a well-maintained car. So we were thinking today, we're going to start charging, instead of we charge like $80 or $90, we're going to start charging $250 to do a set of headlights, because chances are we should be telling that customer that they need a full detail. Chances are they haven't had their car clayed, polished, or ceramic coated in a long time. If they had, their headlights wouldn't be so yellow and foggy. So we're thinking of raising our prices on the services that really, we don't really want that really low end customer that's only going to come one time every 5 years or even one time a year. But the wasted headlight customer, how much do you guys charge for doing a set of headlights typically?
it's 130.
That's good. Well, you know what I'm saying about bringing in the ratty car into your shop?
I do.
They are usually kind of nasty, right?
Yeah.
I want to encourage that person to detail their whole car, and that will include the headlights, but your whole car needs to be done. I mean, it's not just your headlights. You come in with a headlight problem because it's the most obvious, but really your paint's dry, you have bumps all over it. There's tar, there's sap, there's fallout and overspray. You need to have your car clayed. It needs to be machine polished, and it needs to be sealed with a ceramic coating. We are just talking about that today, though, and you said headlights. I was like, encouraging customers to get the service that they actually need versus the one that they think they need.
Yeah. And the price thing's interesting too, just because I think that by changing your prices, sometimes you can double your price, and you would expect it's like, well, we'll probably have no one who's going to pay for a $250 headlight restoration. And then
Right.
I'm always very surprised every time we raise our prices. There seems to be new people that come and are interested in paying these services. I think because they see the quality of the work.
Yeah. Have you ever seen that the quality of your customer improves as you raise your prices?
Absolutely. And it always scares me to death every time we raise it. Going all the way back when we started, we were charging $30 for a full detail.
Wow. How old are you?
I'm 25, Austin's 23. So when
Gosh, you
we
guys are
started,
young.
I was 19 and he was 17.
You guys are doing cheap work. That's cheap.
Yeah.
That's great.
But
Yeah.
I mean, ever since then, raising it to 50 to 70 to 90, I was like, but we're not going to have enough customers. You
Yeah.
know, the people they're going to stop coming. There's no way someone's going to pay $200 for a full detail. There's no way.
Yeah.
Every time.
And now today you look at it, and if the customer asks you how much you charge for a detail and you tell them $200, they're going to say, something's wrong with you. What are you using? Cheap products? Why is your price so cheap? Are you not that good? You
Yeah.
know, you almost wonder if too cheap actually attracts one, it attracts the wrong customer, attracts somebody who's a bottom dweller, someone
Yeah.
who's just nasty car that needs everything. Open the door and there's trash falling out of it. Or it brings on skepticism that people are skeptical of your services, that your quality is going to be low because your price is too cheap.
Yeah. Well, and that's been my hardest part with, um, that's been my hardest part with like understanding your business model is like the hand car wash. I think it's such an amazing idea, and there's such a huge market for it for
Mm-hmm.
people. Because I hear over and over again that people say they just don't have the time to run their car through to
Mm-hmm.
hand wash their vehicle, but like so many people recognize that the car wash is bad for their vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
So many people they don't like it, um, but then they can't afford to pay for a $400 detail every single week or even every other week. So it's
Yeah.
like, what's that happy medium
Yeah.
with the price to make it make sense for them on a reoccurring membership? It's not too high to where it breaks the budget, but it's not too low to where they feel like it's just going to be like a automatic car wash quality.
Do you guys do washing now?
Well, we do like maintenance washes
Yeah.
on ceramic coated vehicles, but it's $100 to $150 depending on the size. So right around what your wash would be.
Yep. What we've done to make it really someplace nice to hang out. I love to show you our lounge. So we put a lounge in. We have a coffee, like the number one coffee shop in our town is called Caffeiena, like caffeine enna. Anyway, Caffeiena, we put a full, super awesome espresso machine in our place. We have one, two, three, four, five, six. We have six huge 80-inch monitors up with broken into a grid of all the videos of where your car is inside the wash. Oh, look, there's my car. It's getting the wheels cleaned. And we have right up, close on the wheels being cleaned, close up on the roof, close up on the nose. People can watch. We have snacks, we have drinks, we have games for kids out there so that when the hard thing is time, right? To give up an hour. It
Yeah.
takes you guys, I would imagine, it takes you guys about an hour or
Yep.
so to do a maintenance wash.
Yeah.
So if you make, and we have three kinds of internet because we want lightning fast internet. And so we just make sure that we have, we have Starlink, we have T-Mobile, and we have cable, whatever the the actual cable fiber, what's it called? Anyway, we have three kinds of internet to make sure that no matter what, if one person's on there watching a movie, it's not sucking all the bandwidth and slowing the roll of our Wi-Fi. But we have found that people, since we have started, doing this, people come fully prepared, headphones on, unlike me, couldn't get my headphones together for this interview. But, people can be productive, and suddenly that hour can be therapeutic to them. They can get a lot of stuff knocked out, a lot of emails knocked out. They can get a lot of phone calls made. We provide a really nice environment to hang out while your car is getting done. And therefore, people don't feel like it's a waste of time. They feel like it's actually productive time spent. And at the same time, their car is getting dialed. So
Yeah.
the facility is really important. where the person hangs out. We also offer for detailing, not just for a wash, because there's not enough money in it for a wash, but we offer to either give. We have 2 loaner cars. We're across the street from Home Depot. So a lot of times people are like, oh, I was going to go to Home Depot. Like, oh, take the F-350. But no, take our F-350, go to Home Depot, get a load of stuff, take it home. By the time they're back, their car's done. And they're stoked. And we also have a Tahoe. People, moms, babies, Tahoe's the one to go.
Yeah.
But if people can be productive while they're getting their car washed, that makes the hand washing a little bit more juicy and acceptable. When you're just waiting and there's nothing to do and you're in an awful waiting room, that makes the wait a lot longer. We have indoor and outdoor, sunny and shade. We have in the fan area and in the non-fan area. We have all these different options for you to come sit so that no matter who you are, you can probably find the sort of like the Goldilocks' porridge, right? The perfect setup for your wait, so that you can be productive. You say you're in Springfield, Missouri?
Yep.
So you're not that far from Little Rock, Arkansas.
Yeah, not far at all.
I was in Springfield, Missouri 2 days ago.
Really?
So funny.
Why?
Yeah, I was there because I do a Ferrari driving event every year called the Cavallino Rally.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always been in Mount Magazine, Arkansas, all through the roads up there. Mm-hmm. And it was sponsored for the longest time by the Ferrari dealership in Houston, Texas. And I've just been a sponsor of it through Adam's Polishes. So we go up there, we bring products, we clean all the cars every night. Every night we clean 50 or 75 Ferraris. And it's cool. But I was there. And if you want to see something interesting, go to Splash Car Wash in
Heard of it.
Little Rock. They take an old Rite Aid or a Walmart or a Walgreens and they turn it into a completely indoor car wash. I did it. I had a Turo. I had a Mercedes that I rented. And I took it at the end. I just wanted to see this place. And I wanted to experience it. And I can share the videos with you after this. So interesting. Such an interesting model. But they didn't have the lounge nailed at all. The lounge was not cool or nice or enjoyable, and their seating was not comfortable, and they didn't have that stuff figured out. But they did have a indoor facility that on a freezing cold day or a boiling hot day is the same temperature inside. And I thought that was pretty cool. That's the way to get through the winter.
Did you know about that business before you started Enzo's?
I saw it last year at the same event. So I had already bought the car wash, and I was just I borrowed my buddy's Alfa Romeo last year, and I was going to drive it back to his shop, and I saw this place. I'm like, that looks like an old Rite Aid or a Walgreens. They kind of have this standalone building in the middle with parking just to itself, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, that's so interesting. So I went there and checked it out, and I was like, no way, this is so interesting. What an interesting model. But it needs to go to the next level. They need to have a cafe. They need to have a kids' playground. They need to have really comfortable seating. They need to have a place that's quiet so you can go and be productive. They didn't have that. There's all inside this huge room. They didn't have. They should have created a little bubble inside of the Splash Car Wash so that people could be productive on their phones or computers and not just listening to all the vacuums and all the, all the noise that a car wash makes.
Is there anything that they did that you felt like was missing from Enzo's that you could take away?
Oh, 100%. They use an airbrush to put on tire shine.
Oh.
They literally airbrush. You ever seen that happen?
Yes.
That was genius. I was like, that's so great. They getting all the way up into see, I can't stand when you tire shine the side of a tire and you don't get it up into the top of the tread blocks. I can't stand that. That looks so bad to me. I'm so annoyed by, shiny sides of the tire and not all the way up to the top of the tread. It has to be there. And then all the way down to the rim. That there's a whole bead lock, the bead of the tire. These people just leave it and not dress it. It's like, that looks horrible. You got to dress that. But this gal was using this little airbrush and she was like getting it perfect. I'm like, wow. Cause there was like a exact V of product going, so she could really get right up next to the wheel and not overspray the wheel.
Hmm.
It was pretty cool.
Anything else that stand out?
Um, Having multiple lanes, multiple wash lanes is critical. We have one lane, so if a car with really dirty wheels comes into our wash bay, well, that's going to slow the whole lane, because we have to scrub extra. We clean the barrels of the wheels every wash. We don't just clean the face of the wheels. We clean all of them. And by having multiple lanes, you can have a slow lane and a fast lane, an express lane and a dirty lane.
Yeah.
That was really smart too. They had a pretty good. They also had conveyors in every part of the car wash. Like we only have a conveyor. We have a 12-foot wide conveyor that's flat. No metal. Your car goes onto the conveyor. It's stopped on the conveyor as we wash it. We should have conveyors for the wheels and tires. We should have conveyors for the vacuums. We should have conveyors for everything, because basically what that does, that sets the clock for the employees to have to be done from this point to this point is how much time you have to get that car vacuumed. Go,
Yeah.
At our car wash, it's just sitting out and you can just take all the time you want until it's on the wash conveyor. Then they have to hurry.
Yeah, it's
So
interesting you mentioned that, because like every time we've ever timed ourselves, we like, if we're like, hey, we got to get this done in 2 hours, we always make it work. But if you don't set the timer, then you end up
Yes,
taking more time.
you're so right. It makes me crazy when I see people kind of going slow or relaxing. I'm like, oh, don't do that. Let's go. Come on, let's go. Yeah, it's true. We went from, we had a couple of weird things happen over the last 5 months that were very interesting. One, we had a rainy morning. It was like pouring rain all morning, and the whole day it was supposed to rain. Per my little gadget on my phone that said the weather. Well, as soon as that was done, the rain stopped at noon. Didn't rain all day. We had sent half our staff home. Guess what? This rain went away. The sun came out, and we started jamming. Everyone's car was dirty, right? Because everyone's car just got soaking wet and drove around the streets, got dirty. We did everything that we needed to do in the exact same amount of time with half of our employees. And I was like, dang it, I've been spending so much money on all this payroll for so long. What a waste. Because now these kids that are so slow, they could care less about seeing dirt. They got to like be on them all the time. I've just been helping them get free money, not trying hard, getting money. And we cut at that day, we cut our employees in half.
Wow.
And we went from, I was putting in about $100,000 a month to cover everything, to cover payroll, cover all the expenses, not paying rent to myself. Anyway, now we went down to, about break even. So just because, but I would never have done that. Again, thank you, Lord, for bringing that rain out and stopping it like that, because we thought we had just the right number of people, but everyone would just slow down to the 1 hour mark getting a car through.
Yeah.
Or they'd speed up, but it didn't matter. So as soon as we realized that we had way too many employees, we cut the number back, and it was definitely meaningful to our numbers. We still have a ways to go.
Yeah. Well, let's wrap up, but tell me, what does that look like? I mean, I know you've mentioned a few things that you're wanting to do. You don't like the fact that people are settling for mediocre, and their cars aren't coming out of here like looking their absolute best. And at the same time, it's gotta make money at some point too, right? So like, what does that look like going forward? Do you have any idea?
I think what we're going to do is move our program to a membership program where you're a VIP member. And the way that we're going to do it, first, we start with a detail. Kind of like you do the maintenance washes for vehicles that you've ceramic coated, right?
Yeah.
They're 1,000 times easier to wash, and they look 1,000,000 times better when you're done washing them. So by us, we're looking at keeping just people who are passionate about having their cars in outstanding condition, maintained in that condition, and then we can offer a totally elevated service to them. We're going to elevate our cafe. We're going to elevate the services that are offered inside of our lounge. We're going to give people additional little areas to be productive. We're calling them productivity rooms, little offices so that you can go in and close the door and have basically a sound, sound free zone to be able to talk. And those will be air conditioned and heated so that it's comfortable. So by having a first class place offering first class services to people that want their cars perfect, I think that'll better massage my OCD, because mediocrity, I start to get like a nervous twitch, I start freaking out. I just can't stand it when I see these trucks leave or cars leave with all these swirls and they're just so scruffy and there's just tar all over the cars or paint, paint from road striping, you'll see the paint all over them. You'll see the wheels are just roached because, again, we live in a place where it's almost entirely scratch-o-matic car washes. Almost all the car washes are the automated washes. So that means none of the wheels have been cleaned in like the whole zip code. None of the inside of the windshields have been cleaned like ever. They're so incredibly foggy and dirty. So for us to give an elevated service to a few, I think that's where we want to exist. Because being high volume, offering a really good service to everyone, which is what we've been doing, we can't offer a great service because it makes people with nice cars have to wait too long because they're in line, right? They're in a line behind a horrible minivan that a mom has never vacuumed ever. It's got 140,000 miles. That makes for a really long, unnecessary wait for our VIP customer who comes through, who's keeping their car perfect. We're keeping it perfect for them. So the money that we get from that one-time mom who washes her car once a year, it's not a good customer. They're not going to help us build our business. The guys with the work trucks that just don't care, drive out the work site, leave all the windows down, the entire inside is completely covered in dust. The kind where you clean the instrument cluster and you can see they've driven down so many dirt roads for so many thousands of miles that the dust went through the little pusher where you reset the odometer,
Yeah.
It's traveled through there and the entire speedometer is caked with dust. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
You've seen this.
Oh, yeah.
It makes me so crazy. Like, that's not our customer. We don't need that. That customer's not going to help us build our business. We need to maintain excellence and not mediocrity.
Do you think you can make that switch and still be profitable? Or do you think that transition period?
So we're not profitable now. It's 5 months. I'm still putting in money. And so I think that you're going to notice, you're going to see that Enzo's hand wash is no longer called Enzo's hand wash. Maybe we call it Enzo's fine detailing or something like that. Mm-hmm. And if suddenly Enzo's is no longer, and you'll see another company came and bought us and they put a normal car wash in there, you'll know, no, it wasn't profitable. It didn't work out. We improved the heck out of that property. We improved it like crazy. We made it so nice. But I think so. But I know that I don't want to be a part of something that's mediocre no matter what.
Yeah.
So I don't want it. I don't care if it's profitable. I'm not interested in being part of mediocre.
Cool.
So,
well, Adam, this has been great. Thank you, man, for coming on and for being so kind to share your time and your experience and your knowledge. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you, man. I really appreciate it too. It's been nice talking with you. I know that you've created something cool here. So continued success.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Love to have you back on at some point too. Maybe do a check-in at some point and see how everything's going.
Let's check in around the end of the year or beginning of next year. I'll tell you what happened.
Okay.
There'll be an
Sounds good.
update. I promise you that. I don't know what it's going to come. God knows only.
Yeah. That sounds good, man. Well,
Yeah.
everyone go check out Adam's, I'll link the Instagram and Enzo's Instagram too in the show notes so that everyone can go check those out. But yeah, that sounds good.
Cool.
All right.
Josh, thanks.
Thank you, Adam. And thanks everyone for listening.
Cheers.